In real life, the 2016 offseason is where Kevin Durant packed his bags and signed with the Golden State Warriors, and established the Warriors as a dynasty for the following seasons. In our reality, there was no such big free agency move. In fact, other than Damian Lillard deciding to go his own path with the Los Angeles Clippers, every team looked the same as last year. The Celtics had gotten the first pick from the Thunder, and they used it to draft Ben Simmons, who was projected to be the next LeBron. Unfortunately, he got injured in his last game in college, and would likely be out for the whole season. Other than that, there weren't really any big moves. So let's just jump straight into it. Halfway through the season, to no one's surprise, the Celtics have stolen the first seed from the 76ers, who look like they may not get the first seed for the first time in 7 years. In fact, they've fallen all the way down to the 7th seed. Out west, the biggest surprises are the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans, who are both currently in running for making the playoffs. Also, the Spurs and Nets both fell off hard this year, and were outside the playoff bracket at this point. In fact, as the regular season concluded, they still were both on the outside looking in. Out west, the Spurs were beaten out by the usual suspects, as well as some other surprising teams. The Thunder had taken a complete 180 this season, and ended up being the first seed, as their team managed to all stay healthy, as well as Clint Capella emerging as a future star off the bench. They'd be facing their old teammate Russell Westbrook and the Houston Rockets, who Russ pretty much carried alone on his back with a little help from Vucevic. To no one's surprise, the Grizzlies, Mavericks, Jazz, and Kings all made it as well with their usual rosters. What was a surprise, however, was the 4th and 5th seed matchup, as the Timberwolves would be facing off against the New Orleans Pelicans. Neither team had any star. They both just had great team basketball that propelled them to succeed. The Warriors also just barely missed the playoffs this year, due to both Durant and Curry dealing with consistent injuries throughout the season, and the rest of their team failing to mesh how they needed to. Out east, we've got all of our usual contenders outside of the Nets. The Sixers end up moving up to the 3rd seed, and be facing the Toronto Raptors for the first round. They would end up winning the series, as Dwayne Wade would seal the deal in Game 6 with his game-winning finger roll right at the buzzer. DeMarcus Cousins and the Bucks would beat out Joe Johnson and the Hawks in 5. Klay Thompson and LaMarcus Aldridge proved to be too much for Chris Middleton and the Magic in a 7-game series. And last but not least, the Celtics beat out Kawhi and the Pistons in 6. Out west, the series were a lot less close. The Thunder swept the Rockets in 4, as did the Timberwolves, who swept the Pelicans. Chris Bosh and the Grizzlies knocked out Melo and the Mavericks for the 3rd time in a row, and the 7th seed Jazz upset the Kings as LeBron James proves to be too much for the young duo of Gordon Hayward and Paul George. In the second round, the Grizzlies and Jazz were the first two teams to match up. The Grizzlies may have been a higher seed, but the Jazz had LeBron, and he takes Memphis out in just 5 games. The other Western Conference matchup wasn't more than just a joke, as the first seeded Thunder would be facing Minnesota, whose best players are Rudy Fernandez and DeAndre Jordan. The Thunder won by nearly 30 points in the first game, and it seems pretty clear how the series is going to end. However, in Game 2, Rudy Fernandez drops 32 points, and ties the series at 1 apiece. But that was the last game the Timberwolves would. Oh, wait, what's this? Game 3 is a Minnesota win as well. This time due to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different players dropping over 20 points. While these victories may have seemed lucky, the true key to their success was knowledge. You see, both Rudy Fernandez and Keon Dooling had both been on the Thunder's championship team a few years back, and they knew every last play that Scott Brooks had drawn up for his squad. That knowledge, combined with electric performances from their role players, allowed them to capture the 2 victories. Their success continued in Game 4, as the two teams would be tied up at 106 with just a minute left in the game. During this play, you can see why the Wolves had so much success. The ball movement is fluid, and so beautiful to watch. Mirotic is the last pass to DeAndre Jordan in the paint, who absolutely bodies Serge Ibaka and gets the foul call. Despite being one of the worst free throw shooters in the league, DeAndre Jordan knocks it down in the clutch, and brings Minnesota up by 3. The Thunder call a timeout to take away the momentum, and regather their thoughts. However, they fail to draw a decent play, as their usual closer James Harden got injured earlier in the game. Thankfully for them, Gallinari manages to get fouled going up, and he knocks down both his free throws. Mirotic throws up a fadeaway 3 and misses, giving the Thunder ample time to come back. On the other end, Gallinari runs around the perimeter and spots up the 3-point line, wide open. He pulls up and misses it. After Rudy Fernandez scores both his free throws, he gets another chance to make up for his miss, but he misses that one as well, and the Timberwolves go up 3-1. With Harden out for at least a week, Minnesota capitalizes on their momentum and wins the series. Out east, Boogie and the Bucks would yet again be facing the Indiana Pacers of Klay Thompson. These two teams had faced off last year, and the Pacers had nearly swept them in 5 games. However, this year things were different. Boogie had won MVP and was the most dominant big man in the league, and while the Pacers still had the defensive stopper Steven Adams, they weren't sure if that would be enough to stop the big man. The Pacers scraped by with a win in Game 1, as Klay has to drop 52 points to squeak by with a 4-point victory. Game 2 would come down to the wire. After Shumpert misses a free throw for Milwaukee, it's just a 2-point game, and the Pacers decide to go with their new emerging big man, Adrian Payne. He takes it up in the paint, but Boogie fouls him on his way up, and he knocks down both his free throws to tie the game. It was now up to Milwaukee to find a way to score with just 9 seconds left. Boogie sets a screen for Rodney Stuckey, leaving him wide open, and he glides his way to the basket for an easy lay-in for the win. Milwaukee and Indiana would go back and forth the next 3 games, and the Bucks would be up 3-2 in the series going to the Game 6. With a minute left, the score is tied at 101, but Klay would come in clutch and hit a 3 as well as a few free throws to tie the series up at 3 apiece. Also, I just want to acknowledge this absolutely horrible attempt at a game-tying 3 by Archie Goodwin. Nice try, buddy, but you're never going to see the basketball court again. Boogie would seal the deal in Game 7 with 44 points and 17 rebounds, and the Bucks would be advancing to the conference finals. Alright, this is it. The matchup we've been waiting for. Old versus new. The Sixers versus Celtics. But this was most likely their last shot at ever winning a championship. Their team was growing old, and no one was sure how many more years Wade had left in them. They had lost in the first round last year to the Brooklyn Nets, who would eventually go on to make the finals. But if their pattern kept up, that meant that they would be in the finals this year. However, they weren't the first seed for the first time in 8 years, so maybe this year they didn't have it in them. After all, they were facing a god squad in Boston. Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. This matchup had the potential to be a momentum shifter, as an old dynasty dies and a new one emerges. However, 2017 was not the year for Philadelphia to fall, and they come out on top in 5 games. I wish I could say the conference finals were full of hard-fought battles and close games, but that simply isn't the case. The Sixers sweep the Bucks in 5 games, and out west, well, let's just say it was LeBron and the Jazz versus DeAndre Jordan and the Timberwolves. Needless to say, Utah got through with... Wait, hold up. Am I seeing this correctly? The Wolves take Game 1, and they take Game 2. How is this happening? Surely Game 3 will... Okay, we gotta jump in. With less than a minute left, Deron Williams gets a steal and runs up the court. However, he's closely followed by DJ, who swats his layup from behind. Larry Sanders grabs the rebound and puts it back up, but DJ swats it away again. The Wolves come back up the court in a fast break, and they find Rudy Fernandez spot up in the corner, who hits nothing but net. However, D-Will remains unfazed, and he takes it back up the court. He cuts toward the basket and pulls up for a quick 2, and drills it, bringing Utah within 1. Minnesota call a timeout and decide to run out the shot clock. However, they didn't manage to run a good play, and resort to a contested 3 from Rudy. The Jazz call a timeout with 3 seconds left, and LeBron feels the weight crushing down on his shoulders. He's already scored 42 points this game, but this last possession was everything. This was his chance to make it to the finals for a second time, and face his rival draft classmate Dwayne Wade. However, in this legacy-defining moment, LeBron decides to do the unthinkable. He sets a backdoor pick for Langston Galloway and runs away from the ball. He just runs straight away, not even looking back to receive a pass. Sanders has to instead inball it to Galloway, who unsurprisingly butchers the play, and the Jazz are now down 3-0. Let's just go back and review this play real quick, shall we?
So for some reason they passed into Langston Galloway, alright? Bad decision, but whatever. They did it. It's happened. LeBron wasn't getting open. It happens. Alright? Look at Mirotic's defense. He's watching LeBron. Or I don't even know what he's actually watching. He's just watching nothing. And Wilson Chandler scoots by, wide open. He could not be more open. But what does this dude decide to do instead? He decides, I know I see Wilson Chandler wide open right there. I'm going to just keep going and go for myself. When Fernandez is easily coming to defend over. And look at that. He misses.
Yeah, needless to say, the Jazz don't recover from this game. And the least likely team of all makes it to the NBA Finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves.
See through your niggas know ultrasound. School of motherfuckers, you a class clown. You was talking shit, where you at now? Everybody play the tough guy till his man down. Dancing with the devil, Lucy always in the function. Dealing with you having options, see more tears than an onion. I was following my passion, probably die for the shit. Probably come and get some bust. Losing my patience, I waited my turn. Can't collect everything that I earned. Built a few bridges, but some gotta burn. They keep talking down like, but when you gon' learn? Been on the come up for some time now. People like a trust is hard to find now. Swear to God, there's so much on my mind now. Coming for the word, that bitch is mine now. You don't wanna with me on a bad day. Finna take off on the runway. Always on my job, working hard, treated every single day like it's Monday. Started from the bottom, bitch, I'm still here.
So, we're here. The NBA Finals. On paper, we've got a blowout here. The Sixers are clearly the superior team out of these two. But that's exactly what I've been saying these entire playoffs. The Timberwolves weren't supposed to beat out the Thunder or Jazz. And yet they did. They cut a few lucky breaks like James Harden getting injured. But you cannot deny this team deserved to be in the finals. This is the first team in finals history to not have a single All-NBA player or even an All-Star. And even now, it's impossible to point to a single player that makes this team as great as it does. They have a defensive anchor and ruthless lob threat in DeAndre Jordan, a high-volume scorer and playmaker in Nikola Mirotic, a relentless finisher in Amir Johnson to give you an easy 15 to 20 any given night, and a deadeye from downtown who's also a scrappy defender in Rudy Fernandez. Combine that with the insane bench depth in Marc Gasol, Kyle Anderson, Fred VanVleet, Tim Hardaway Jr., Austin Rivers, Ish Smith, and Zaza Pachulia. This team was filled from top to bottom with players who were counted out and had to prove everything to make it to where they are now. However, this will be their hardest matchup yet, because they haven't faced a team yet like this Sixers team. This was the Sixers' 5th time in the finals in the past 8 years, and they had yet to win it. They still have the same core of Andre Drummond, Drew Holiday, Andre Iguodala, and of course their undisputed leader, Dwayne Wade. The Sixers had no excuse to lose this time, and Philadelphia would never forgive them if they did. So let's just get straight to the chase. The series wasn't won in 4 games, nor 5, nor even 6. Both these teams fought tooth and nail all the way through, and it all came down to this final Game 7, as Philadelphia was only up by 1 with 2 minutes to go. The Wolves rushed the ball up the court after a miss from Drew Holiday, and eventually found Marc Gasol posted up against an undersized Iguodala. He decides to go with a fadeaway and misses, but DJ is there for the putback. Wade takes the ball the other way, refusing to let go of the rock, and drives straight towards the hoop. DeAndre Jordan meets him at the rim, but Wade manages to finish over him while drawing a foul. Unfortunately, he can't convert at the line, and the Sixers are still only up by 1. On the other end, Amir Johnson finds the defense sleeping and converts on his own and 1. He also misses his free throw, however, and the Sixers come back in transition. Iggy draws the defense over to the right, leaving Wade wide open in the corner for a 3, which he converts, putting the Sixers back in the driving seat. Austin Rivers tries to drive in for an easy 2, but Drew Holiday is all over him and he can't convert. With just 50 seconds left on the clock, the Sixers hold the ball, or Iguodala just chucks a 3 for no reason, sure. He of course misses it, giving Minnesota an extra possession. They decide to take their time with it, pass it around. But with the clock winding down, someone eventually has to take a shot. And Austin Rivers again puts the burden on his shoulders, and puts up a 3 after crossing Drew Holiday up. It hits the back of the rim and bounces out, and Drummond pulls in the rebound. This gives Philly one last play to seal the deal here. If they can just get 2 points, it should seal the deal. This time, Iguodala takes his time, and lets the clock wind down. He passes off to Holiday, who finds Wade posted up in the paint against Kyle Anderson. Despite being 4 inches shorter, Wade bullies Kyle in the post and lays it in. The Wells Fargo Arena erupts, and the Wolves call a timeout. After a few close free throws from Drew Holiday, the Sixers end the game 96-90 and take home their first championship in over 30 years. To no one's surprise, Dwyane Wade wins Finals MVP for the second time in his career, 11 years apart. This was the moment he had been chasing for a decade, even with all the doubt thrown his way. After so many close losses in previous years, all the haters telling Wade he needed to leave Philadelphia year after year, he finally won them a championship. The media may have questioned his loyalty at the end of each season, but there was never a doubt in Wade's mind where he belonged. He knew that Philadelphia was the city for him, and his loyalty had finally paid off. The Philadelphia Sixers were finally champions. Wow, I'm seriously so happy that Dwyane Wade finally got another championship. Talk about a roller coaster. The Philadelphia 76ers struggles have been my favorite part of the storyline so far. But now that they finally got a championship, I think their chapter's over. I'm sure we'll eventually be focusing on the Celtics, who now have Dario Saric as well, who's well over an 80 overall already. But before that, there's someone else that has his time to shine. I've already simulated the 17-18 season, and this player broke out from irrelevance to once again having his team in the spotlight. He's already won a Finals MVP, but he comes back this season and leads a new young team to a Finals appearance, this time single-handedly. And his name is... well, I guess you'll have to find out in the next episode. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch these videos. It seriously means a lot, as I've put a lot of time and effort into them. If you haven't already, go ahead and drop this video a like, and subscribe as well to see more videos like this in the future. I'm over halfway done with the series. I can't believe I've only got another 5 more seasons to go. Also, if you just can't wait for the next video to come out, follow me on Twitch to see me simulate these seasons live. Links in the description. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.